Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees and Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Welcome back to another week of nectar from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Very happy that you all are here joining us and are able to take part in this really wonderful program that His Grace has been very very compassionately willing to give to us every week. So with that, I'll go ahead and pass it over. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So it's our conferences has been watched by a number of persons, although not many come. And so I take this first minute to ask everyone who will watch and hear this conference, please come. It is very important to see people. The more we are, and the more we feel better. Especially if you turn on your camera, because see black rectangulars is not very nice. So please come. It's free of charge. You don't have to pay anything. You just do a click and you enter, and you are welcome. Okay, so our English conferences have been watched about more than 100 persons every time. So it's a pleasure. 100, 200 will be better, but we love talking about Krishna, and we love talking about Krishna to people. So we are going to start the Srimad Bhagavatam class right now. And first of all, thank you very much for turning on your camera whenever you can. I know that those who do not do it, they don't do it for a reason that I understand. But I like to say that we want to see your face more as possible. We have right now an ISIS terrorist, Bhattanarayan, who looks very much a Middle East terrorist, but we like to see you very much. Thank you for coming. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Narayanam Namaskritya, Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Naranarayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashta prayeshva padrishu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttamashloke bhaktir bhavati naistike. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. A loving service unto the personality of Godhead, with praise with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So today we are going to start our Bhagavatam, the Srimad Bhagavatam weekly appointment by beginning with verse 1 to 31 Taya vilasiteshveshu guneshu gunavan iva anta pravishtam abhati vijnanena vijimbritaha. After creating the material substance, the Lord Vasudeva expands himself and enters into it. And although he is within the material modes of nature and appears to be one of the created beings, he is always fully enlightened in his transcendental position. Last week, some of you has asked me if you can read the verse. And yes, I accept it, because in a few minutes, 5 or 10 minutes, my eyes will begin to ache. So maybe Bhatta Andy, if he wants, he can read it, or Bhatti Rosalind, whoever. But let me read just a few of this, just 2 or 3, just because I like it. And after I will let you do it. So first of all, we know now, of course, this is a very elementary concept for us, but for some of us in the beginning of our quest for transcendental knowledge, we didn't know that, because we have heard from first years of our life that the universe or the creation comes from chemical elements. This is not what the Srimad Bhagavatam says. Bhagavatam says there is a God. And so why a God? Why there is a God? The answer is very, very simple. It cannot not exist. It must exist, because we have an intelligence. And saying that there is no God is really foolish, because it's not logic. It's just a very elementary logic that tells us that there must be a God. Just like the house where I'm living, somebody can try to convince me that it was made by chemical elements, but I will never accept such a foolishness. It's obvious, because I can see. The door is there, the door is not up there. So someone is intelligent and put the door where it's supposed to be. So a creation must imply a creator, and an intelligent creation must tell us who the creator is. At least he is intelligent. So nobody can say that the universe is not intelligent, and nobody can say that the universe can come from nothing. So here it says that Vasudeva, expanding himself, enters into it, the Lord. He enters how? What it means that the Lord Vasudeva enters. He enters through his potencies. He doesn't enter personally. He's not the Krishna that we know with the flute and playing with the gopas and the cows, etc. Enters into the material world. He doesn't. He doesn't want anything to do with this material world. Just like the president, he doesn't go to prisons, because prisons is not a very nice place to be. Maybe, once some president went to visit what's going on, but it's not a place that you want to be. So a spirit soul should see this material world as a prison, not a nice place to be. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, the spiritual master of my spiritual master, and your grandfather, spiritual master, he says that this material world is like a bathroom, a restroom. You go, you do your things, you get out. It's not a place where you are there and talk with people and sit down. You go because it's not a clean place, it's not a nice place to be. So he said it's like a restroom. You go, do your things, and get out. So this material world, it is like that. We should do our things, get it purified, and get out. And go to the spiritual world. And although it's within the material modes of nature, by its potencies, and appears to be one of the created beings, is always fully enlightened in transcendental position. That means that the Krishna sometimes take birth in this material world, but is not. actually part of this material world. So the number 32, the Lord, the super soul, pervades all things, just as fire permeates wood, and so he appears to be of many varieties, though he is absolute one without a second. So Krishna comes in this material world by his potencies, not by personally. He never comes to this material world. It's always the potency that he comes. So then the super soul enters into the bodies, the created beings who are influenced by the modes of material nature and cause them to enjoy the effects of the modes by the subtle mind. This is a very nice verse, and we should take a couple of minutes discussing it. So each of us has a super soul within the heart. Krishna, in the form of Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, expands in millions and trillions forms, and each of these enters into the heart of each living being, and he stays there. It's also called Upadrashta. What Upadrashta means the witness. He's there and watches what you do. He knows what you think. So this is sometimes we should be ashamed of what we think and what we do, because although nobody sees, we think that nobody is watching us. Actually, Paramatma is watching us. Okay, and so we cannot hide from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why he comes? He comes because he wants to help us. He wants to send us information. Don't do this. This is not good. This is bad. This is, there are other paths. There are other types of life. And this type of suggestions are subtle. Sometimes are very clear, and sometimes are not clear. Okay, but the problem is that we cannot recognize what is the suggestion of the Paramatma and what is our mind. So that's why the super soul manifests outside the body in the form of the spiritual master, the guru. The guru is the incarnation of the super soul. The guru says what the Paramatma tells you, but it's very clear. There is no mind. There is nothing. The guru is to say exactly what is the truth. You like it or don't like it, the spiritual master will tell you exactly how things are. Because the modes of material nature are very attractive. Those who are under the mode of goodness, they like nice things, they like milk, they like beautiful things, and those who are under passion, they like to make money and be successful, become president of the United States, and how important, how great I am. It's mad. It's a kind of madness. Those who want to be important are mad because they are intoxicated. And then there is those who are under the influence of tamas or of ignorance. They don't care about anything. They just want to sleep, eat, and they don't care about anything. So, but each of them can experiment some type of pleasure. The pleasure of goodness, the pleasure of passion, the pleasure of ignorance. There is some taste. And but this taste is very poor. Thing is, if you are not intelligent enough, we think, well, this is life, this is, I'm not perfectly happy, but better than I got something, so better than nothing. And this is not what the Srimad Bhagavatam is trying to tell us. Then the Lord of the universes maintains our planets inhabited by demigods, men, and lower animals. Assuming the roles of incarnations, he performs pastimes to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. Bhavayati esha sattvena Lokam vai lokabhavanaha. Lilavatara nurato devatirya naradishu. Very beautiful verse. Sattvena, here in the translation it says pure sattva or pure goodness. The word sattva doesn't refer to pure goodness, which is normally used as there is a difference between the sattva, between goodness and pure goodness. But here, the verse Srila Prabhupada translates pure goodness. So, unless we prove that this verse was not translated by Srila Prabhupada, we have to accept it as it is. So, why Krishna takes incarnations? Because otherwise we got nothing to say, we have nothing to tell. This is one reason. It's not the only reason, but is giving us a lot of pastimes to talk about. If you tell the story of Ramachandra in the Ramayana, or we tell the story of the Pandavas in the Mahabharata, or we tell the stories of Narasimha and Vamana and Matsya, we get purified because these pastimes are not material. Mahabharata is not material. Ramayana is not material. Any of the story recorded in any of the Purana is not material, but is spiritual. If it was material, then Vyasadeva would not waste his time writing it down. It is all spiritual. So he performed pastime to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. Of course, Krishna does pastimes also because he likes it. Because this is his nature. There is a word that I always like it, and I often I would like to use it more. But exuberance, is that an English word? Exuberance, exuberant. Because he is spiritual. It's not like us that we are sick and we are not very exuberant. Krishna is eternally. He likes to do things. He cannot stay still. Just like when we were young, a child that cannot stay still for a moment because he's exuberant. So Krishna, it is this way, and he likes to enjoy with his devotees, enjoy with his internal energy. So he likes to do a lot of things, both in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, it's just pleasure. That's why it's called Lila. And in the material world, he comes also for his pleasure, but also for our salvation. So there is a difference between the pastimes performed in the spiritual world and pastimes performed in this material world. In the spiritual world, there is no salvation because everybody is already saved. But why we need to listen? Because we want to save ourselves from this useless material world. So the Lord created the universe, then he enters with his internal potency, but also comes here with incarnations. And the chapter number 2 ends here, and that's the chapter number 3, the third chapter begins, and the third chapter is entitled Krishna is the source of all incarnations. And in this chapter, we are going to study the Krishna's incarnations. So I'm going to read the first verse, and then after Bhatta Andy can help me with this. Sutta uvaca grihe purusham rupam bhagavan mahad aditihi sambhutam shodashakalam adavlokasi srikshayam. 131. In the beginning of the creation, the Lord first expanded himself in the universal form of the Purusha incarnation and manifested all the ingredients from the material creation. And thus, at first, there was the creation of the 16 principle of material action. This was also the purpose of creating the material universe. This is not a very easy verse to explain, because in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we are going to deal with creation. And creation is a very complicated issue, and it takes a long time to understand it, first of all, and second, to explain it. Of course, you are all intelligent. If I understood something, you will understand as much as I did. But still, it remains not easy topic to discuss. So the Lord, at the beginning of the creation, first of all, he expanded himself in the universal form of the Purusha incarnation. Who are the Purusha incarnation? There are three. Mahavishnu, also called Karanadakashai Vishnu, Karanarnavashai Vishnu. Then Mahavishnu expand, from Mahavishnu comes the universes. It comes the Pradhana. The Pradhana is the sum total of material elements, okay? And he creates the universes, but inside this universe, there is nothing. They are empty. They are a form of an egg, not exactly a sphere, but in form of eggs, so much so that they are called Brahmanda. In Sanskrit, anda means egg. So the universe, they are for ovoidal form, okay? Then Mahavishnu expands in the form of Garbhodakashai Vishnu. Garbhodakashai Vishnu sweats, and the form of his sweats becomes the Garbhodaka ocean. What it means, Garbha? Garbha means cause, because the material energies are inside this ocean, okay? So Garbhodakashai Vishnu has now the possibility of the material elements, but he is not the incarnation for creation. He is the incarnation for creating the base of the incarnation. Just like when you build a house, you first need, I don't know, concrete, and you need some wood, you need iron, whatever you need. But you don't do it yourself. There are people who knows how to build up. So he does not build up. He does not build the universe. But then he lay down in the water of the ocean of Garbha, and Brahma comes from the lotus flower, who sprang up from his navel. From the navel of Vishnu comes a very high, almost half of the universe, high, so tall, and on top Brahma take birth. Is also called Svayambhuva or Svayambhu. Means that he is not born from any woman. He is born by the energy of the Supreme Lord. So Brahma wakes up as soon as he takes birth and look around. There is no sun, so there is no light. Everything is dark. He doesn't know what to do. And the only thing he sees that there is, how you call it, the stale or the lotus stem, the stem of the lotus flower. So he begins to go down, you know, and while he was going down and down and down, he couldn't find any ground, and down. And he did that for many years, and at the end, he heard the two syllables of the Sanskrit alphabet, ta e pa. Ta pa put together means austerity. So Brahma understood that anyone, he didn't know who he was, the creator of himself, or the universe, was telling him to do austerity. Without austerity, you don't go anywhere. You must. Austerity makes you strong. Austerity makes you determined. Austerity makes you sincere. You have to show, you have to prove that you want perfection. So Brahma climbed up again the stem of the lotus, and he did many austerities. And then at the end, he saw a light and Garbhodakashaya Vishnu at the end of the universe. Down he saw. But he saw him just for a few seconds. But during that second, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu told him that he will never see him again, but he will give him transcendental knowledge. So in his heart, Brahma received knowledge. So now he knew what to do. And then the same knowledge that Brahma received from Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, we have it today. Because Brahma was the first spiritual master of the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, and we are part of that chain of spiritual master up to Lord Brahma, that at the beginning of creation, he was the first guru of the chain. The first, even almost, there are 4 sampradayas. The Brahma Sampradaya is the first one, it's the oldest Sampradaya, and we are very proud to be in that line. So Brahma knew what to do at that point, although Vishnu did not explain anything in detail, but by knowledge, more knowledge comes. And you will see, the more you begin to be a preacher, the more you will see that by preaching, you will know, because knowledge comes from the heart. There is a very nice verse from Srila Prabhupada that I want to, what is it? Yeah. How is possible that it disappeared? Oh, here it is. Here it is. Srila Prabhupada, if you simply hear about Krishna, but do not repeat what you have heard to others, you will not advance very quickly in your understanding of God. Whatever you hear or read, you should explain it to others. That is perfection. Srila Prabhupada said that. So why is that? Because repetition makes your understanding stronger. Of course, it's not the only reason, but this is one of the reasons, one of the main reasons, that by repeating, it makes it, just like we say that practice makes perfection, makes perfect, okay? If you want to learn something, you have to do it and do it and do it again. At the end, you become very expert. So if you study, but do not repeat by writing or by speaking or in any way, then your knowledge will always be weak. So learn philosophy and preach it to others. So then what happens is that Brahma began his creation. The combination of the 3 modes, which are eternal and unmanifested, is the cause of the manifested state, and is called pradhana. Pradhana means material nature not manifested and not differentiated. Is this clear? Differentiated means it's just a bowl of something. Just like when you cook some soup, and at the end of the vegetable disappear. You cannot distinguish one eggplant from the potato because everything has become one. This is the meaning of undifferentiated. And unmanifested, that is clear. Unmanifested means that nobody can see it because it's inside the transcendental body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then from pradhana comes what is called prakriti. Prakriti is the stage where Brahma found the material nature. But prakriti means indifferentiated, still a big soup of everything, but it is finally manifested. That means that Garbhodakashaya Vishnu told him through the heart, this is the material nature. Start your creation. And this is called Prakriti. So pradhana, unmanifested and undifferentiated, then prakriti, manifested and undifferentiated. And then when Brahma came upon this thing, he understood that he could not still create. So how the creation took form? Vishnu looked, glanced, the Srimad Bhagavatam, this word, this use, glanced upon the material nature, and then it became Mahatattva. Mahatattva. Mahatattva means differentiated and manifested. At this point, all the water and iron and concrete and everything and wood and everything they are separated. So Brahma took it and began the creation of the universe. Thus, after manifesting the variety, the effulgent Mahatattva, which contained within itself all the universes. This is Srimad Bhagavatam 3:26-20, and we are going to have a lot of fun studying the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, because that is not going to be easy to explain. But we are going to do it. Okay, so at the beginning there were the 16 principles of material universe. Now we are not going to go through all those, but that because that is something that it would take time to explain, and then the creation could take place. But Andy, can you read 132, please?
Yes. A part of the Purusha lies down within the water of the universe. From the navel lake of his body sprouts a lotus stem, and from the lotus flower atop this stem, Brahma, the master of all engineers in the universe, becomes manifest.
Yeah, this I already explained. So please go to the number 3.
Okay. It is believed that all the universal planetary systems are situated on the extensive body of the Purusha, but he has nothing to do with the created material ingredients. His body is eternally in spiritual existence par excellence.
This also I already explained, although briefly, that a Krishna in person never comes to this material world. Okay? When he comes in this material world, just like the incarnation of Krishna, he brings the spiritual world with him. So whatever he is cannot be the material world. He creates a material world by his energy. And there are different types on. His internal energy creates a spiritual world. By his external energy, he creates the material world. But he doesn't do it personally. He does it through the Vishnus, he does it through Brahma, he does it through the demigods, but he doesn't do it personally. Yes, and this verse is also very nice, it's very famous. Yasya vayava samstanai kalpito lokavistaraha tadvai bhagavato rupam vishuddham sattamurjitam. This is a verse that many devotees know by memory. Please, the number 4.
The devotees, with their perfect eyes, see the transcendental form of the Purusha, who has thousands of legs, thighs, arms, and faces, all extraordinary. In the body there are thousands of heads, ears, eyes, and noses. They are decorated with thousands of helmets and glowing earrings, and are adorned with garlands.
So who knows what is being described in this verse? Yeah, this is the Virata Rupa, no? We already read in the Bhagavad Gita an entire chapter describing the Virata Rupa. What is the Virata Rupa? Virata Rupa is the universal. Virata means universal, and Rupa means a form, which is to make people understand that the Lord and everything is included in Lord's energies. So if we had to imagine the Lord in the material world, this is the Virata Rupa. So there is no, also in the Mahabharata, we find that the Virata Rupa is being manifested by Krishna in many, not many, but in a few occasions. One time to Arjuna, of course, another time to Dhritarashtra, another time to Duryodhana, another time to Bhishma Deva in the last day of his life in this world, etc. But here, this chapter begins saying, this is the, now I'm going to tell you the incarnation of this material world. The first thing, this material world is Lord's energy. That's why in these verses, the Virata Rupa has been described. 135. Yes, please read.
This form, the second manifestation of the Purusha, is the source and indestructible seed of multifarious incarnations within the universe. From the particles and portions of this form, different living entities, like demigods, men, and others, are created.
Yes, this also have been already explained. You saw that my description, it's just Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada is saying the same thing. No, I said the same thing that Prabhupada said. When he saw that within the universe there was only darkness and space without a resting place, he filled after the universe with water from his own perspiration. I said from his sweat. And laid himself down on the same water. This water is called Garbhodaka. And then the incarnation, it comes from, not from Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, but from Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. But we are going to talk about Kshirodakashayi Vishnu some other time. I would advise you to please read the Srila Prabhupada purport of 135. It's long, but it tells you a lot of things about Krishna's incarnation. Yes, please read it. If you want to, we can read it, but it would take at least 20 minutes, as you prefer. We can do it. Also, there is a very nice chapter in the teaching of Lord Chaitanya. If I don't remember incorrectly, that is the 6th chapter of the teaching of Lord Chaitanya, entirely dedicated to Krishna's incarnation. And Srila Prabhupada gives a very, very nice description of who, what, how you work, what kind of power each of them have, what is the description and of each incarnation. Okay, so what do you want? Do you want to read this lengthy Srila Prabhupada purport or not?
I think we can continue.
Okay, let's go on.
Okay.
Because all this thing that Prabhupada said, we are going to meet them again. You know, we cannot say the whole Bhagavatam in one class. The Bhagavatam is huge. And so better we say brief things, we touch many, many topics. And then as we meet them again, we explain a little more of each of them, a little more. So at the end, which will take a few years, Bhagavatam is 18,000 verses, we will know what the Bhagavatam is about. Sa eva pratamam deva kaumaram sargamashvitaha chachara dushcharam brahma brahmacharya makanditam. So this is the first incarnation of the Lord. And so please read the 136.
First of all, in the beginning of creation, there were the 4 unmarried sons of Brahma, the Kumaras, who, being situated in a vow of celibacy, underwent severe austerities for realization of the absolute truth.
Yes. Okay. This verse brings us to a technical point that there are different types of incarnation. For instance, yeah, that's why I was saying maybe we should read the Prabhupada purport, because Prabhupada purport tells us, it gives a different classification. So the Kumaras are not Vishnu Tattva. What it means, Vishnu Tattva? Vishnu Tattva means they come from Vishnu. Okay, it's Vishnu personally who expands. And what Vishnu, Mahavishnu, Garbhotakasha Vishnu, Kshirodakasha Vishnu, the incarnation that we know, like Narasingha, Vamana, Matsya, Varaha, they all come from, they are called Lilavatara, and they come from Kshirodakasha Vishnu, the third Purusha that we are still not talk about. We spoke about Mahavishnu, Garbhotakasha Vishnu, but not about Kshirodakasha Vishnu. And the Kshirodakasha Vishnu is the one who enters into our hearts, each of us, but also he expands into Lila Avataras. Okay? So these Lila Avataras are Vishnu Tattva. They are called, those incarnations that come directly from Vishnu are called Vishnu Tattva. Okay? But the Kumaras are not Vishnu Tattva. They are Jiva Tattva, or also called Shakti Avesha Avatara. That means that they are Jivas like us, quote unquote, because they're not exactly like us, but from the point of view of Tattva, they are like us. They are Jivas. But they are full of power for a specific, how you say, for a specific role of specific mission. Okay, so when somebody has been given by the Lord the power for something specific, this is called Shakti Avesh Avatara. Avesh, this is an Avesh. Okay, Vesh is the cloth. I put my cloth. Avesh means with. And Shakti means capacity, energy, power. Shakti Avesh means, Krishna, I give you this power, so from now on, you are as good as Vishnu Tattva, as good as anyone for that specific, not for everything, but for that specific mission. So Brahma, the first sons were called the Kumaras. And why they were called the Kumara? Kumara means child. Why they were called the Kumaras? Because as soon as the Kumara took birth, they look around and Brahma said to them, okay, now we had to, there's a big universe here, so we had to make children, so please do as I did. I procreated you, now you had to procreate. And the Kumara said, no, we are not going to, we don't have time to waste, and we are not going to procreate. And they did a vow of celibacy, brahmacharya makanditam, the verse say, brahmacharya makanditam. Akandita means no interruption, for life. So they took the vow of brahmacharya for life, never married. And since they had no power to procreate without sexual intercourse, so they refused Brahma. And to make sure that they never would develop desire for intercourse with women, they decided to use their power to maintain their bodies of children. Kumara means children. So today, if you see the images of the Kumaras, you see they're like small children, like newly born, like 1 or 2 years old. So the Kumaras never procreated. Let's go to number 7, please. And this is yes, the word Pratama. Pratama in Sanskrit means first. And now we go to Dvitiya, dos. Now we'll see the second incarnation.
The supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices accepted the incarnation of a boar, the second incarnation. And for the welfare of the earth, He lifted the earth from the nether regions of the universe.
There are two different, this is called Varaha incarnation. I think everybody knows the Varaha incarnation. There are two types of Varaha incarnation. One, it lifts, it is a color, it is called the Sveta Varaha. And then we have the Rakta Varaha. The Sveta Varaha, Sveta means white, lifts the world from the Garbhodaka ocean, but not kill any demon. It doesn't kill the Hiranyaksha demon. The second Varaha, color red. That's why we see the pictures of Varaha, red color. And this is called Rakta Varaha. And the Sveta Varaha comes at the beginning of the first 50 years of Brahma's life, while the Rakta Varaha comes the first day of the second 50 years of Brahma's life. Okay, in the second Varaha, then in that occasion kills Hiranyaksha. Hiranyaksha was the first demon of the first day of the second 50 years, which is called Pararda. Pararda means 50 years of Brahma's life. And there was these two big demons, the first demons of the day of Brahma, and he killed the first one of them, which is called Hiranyaksha. And then from the story of Hiranyaksha, we know the story how his brother Hiranyakashipu made Vishnu appear again as a Narasingha incarnation. All these details, you're not going probably to remember all of them, but it's good that you hear, and one day you are going to remember as much as I do. So he lifted the earth from the nether region of the universe, and here Hiranyaksha is not mentioned because this Varaha is the Sveta Varaha. Okay, so let's go to Tritiyam Avatar 138.
In the millennium of the Rishis, the personality of Godhead accepted the third empowered incarnation in the form of Devarashi Narad, who is a great sage among the demigods. He collected expositions of the Vedas, which deal with devotional service and which inspire non-fruitive action.
Yes, Varaha is a Vishnu Tattva. The Kumara are not Vishnu Tattva, they are Jiva Tattva. Okay, Shatyavesha Avatar, Shatyavesha Jiva Tattva. And Narada is not a Vishnu Tattva. Narada is another Jiva Tattva, another Shatyavesha Avatar. So while the Kumara were given the power for explaining a certain type of transcendental knowledge, which is impersonal knowledge, Narada Muni is the great sage empowered for devotional knowledge. Just like once the first thing that you do if you want to build up a society, what is the first thing that you do? School. That's the first thing you do, because you don't have a society without culture. You need a school, you need the books, you need teachers, you need the universities. This is what knowledge and education is what makes a society a civilized society. A society without education and knowledge is a barbaric society. Because without education, you behave like a barbarian, and the barbarian behavior makes the whole society a hellish place to live. You don't want to live in a place where barbarian lives. You want to live where educated, nice people live. So in the Tritiyam Avataram, the Lord gave power to the sage Narada in a millennium where other great sages took birth, and Narada was one of them. We know from the Srimad Bhagavatam, or I should say we will know, because the story of Narada Muni will be told in a following chapter of the Bhagavatam, that Narada Muni was living in the last day of the previous Pararda. Who remembers this word? Pararda means 50 years. The first 50 years of Brahma ended, and the last year of these 50 years, Narada was living. And there is a story how Narada was a son of a very humble maid servant, etc., etc., and he was attracted by transcendental knowledge, etc., etc. And when after the universe, there was a partial pralaya. Pralaya in Sanskrit means devastation or destruction. At the end of the day of Brahma, that coincided with the end of the first 50 years of Brahma's life, there was a partial pralaya, not entire, the whole universe, but until a certain point of the universe, and Brahma entered, and Narada entered into the body of Vishnu, and when he started again the creation, Narada came out. And since he spent the last years of his life looking for transcendental knowledge, he took birth as Narada. Narada also is the class of Jiva Tattva, but a Shakti Avesh avatar that I explained with transcendental knowledge. This is why the Tritiya avatar, the third avatar, Narada Muni, is so important to us. So important that he is the guru of Vyasadeva. He is the guru of Vyasadeva. And who is the guru of Narada Muni? Brahma. And who is the guru of Brahma? Vishnu, Garbhodakashai Vishnu, who gave him knowledge at the beginning of creation. So Vishnu, Brahma, Narada, Vyasa. And we are so proud. Maybe we shouldn't be proud, but in one sense, on one hand, it's right to say we should be proud to be part of this tradition that starts from Vishnu and Brahma, Narada, Vyasa, etc., up to our days. And Narada Muni is one of the most important spiritual masters of our history. So number 9, Turye. This is the fourth. Turya means fourth.
In the fourth incarnation, the Lord became Nara and Narayana, the twin sons of the wife of King Dharma. Thus, he undertook severe and exemplary penances to control the senses.
The story of Nara Narayana Rishi is a long story. I promise you that I will tell you the story, not today, because we are going to meet Nara Narayana Rishi many times in the future. And also we offer obeisances to them every day. No? Narayanam namaskritya naranchaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasa tato jayam udirayet. No? Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest. Conquest, what it means conquest? To conquest Maya. No? The tool to defeat Maya. This is Srimad Bhagavatam. And we, first of all, we should always, every time, offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana and Naranarayana Rishi. And we will see why they were so important for us. Okay, let's go to the other one. We read other minutes, 1 or 2 other verses, and we go to Panchama Kapilo Nama Siddesha Karavi Plutam Provacha Sura Yeshankyam Tattvagrama Venirnayam. This is a very beautiful verse. Panchamavatara Kapila. Can you please read the verse?
The fifth incarnation, named Lord Kapila, is foremost among perfected beings. He gave an exposition of the creative elements and metaphysics to Asuri Brahmana, for in course of time this knowledge had been lost.
Sankhya Vada is a beautiful philosophy. And we are going to study it in its spiritual form, later in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And I'm going to spend just a minute now telling about Sankhya, because Sankhya means number. Number. Sankhya Vada means la philosophy of, correct me if my English is not correct, the enumeration of creative elements. Is that correct? No.
Yes,
Not really. Okay. Enumeration means numbering. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Okay. Kapila explained the philosophy of how the universe is composed. Not necessarily how it was created, but how it is composed. What is the elements composing the material universe? So that once you know how the material universe is composed exists in English, composido, compuesto?
Yes, composed.
Composed, is composed. Then at this point you can make un confronto. Come si dice esto? Why don't you study Italian? Comparazione. Then you can compare, make a comparison with the spiritual world. And it's a very, very, studying the Sankhya philosophy is a feast for intellectuals. For devotees who are not very intellectual, it's not really, so important. But for those devotees who are intellectual, you really enjoy your life when you study the Sankhya philosophy. And there are 2 Sankhyas and 2 Kapilas. We have the Kapila, the son of Devahuti, and then we have another Kapila who originally was called Vopadeva. Some say that the materialistic Kapila and Vopadeva are 2 different personalities. Some say that the same personality. But the first Sankhya gives you an explanation of how the universe is composed, and after he explains you devotional service and now how the spiritual world is composed and the system of devotional service. While the second Sankhya is also called Nirishvara Sankhya. Nirishvara Sankhya is the Sankhya, is always a number or a description of the material world, but it proves you, quote unquote, that in this system there is no need of God. That's why it's called Nirishvara. Nirishvara means no God. It's not the Nirishvara Sankhya doesn't tell you that God does not exist. Just like Buddhism. Buddha never said that God does not exist. But inside the philosophical system, the need of a God is absent. This is the difference between the Ishvara Sankhya and the Nirishvara Sankhya. So last verse, Shastam Avatara, the 6th Avatara, and then we spend some time for questions and conversation. Shastam atre apatyatvam vrita pratonusuyaya anvikshikim alarkaya pralada dibhya uchivan. Can you please read it?
Yes. The 6th incarnation of the Purusha was the son of the sage Atri. He was born from the womb of Anasuya, who prayed for an incarnation. He spoke on the subject of transcendence to Alarka, Prahlad, and others, Yadu, Haihaya, etc.
Yes, this incarnation, the verse does not say it, but his name is Dattatreya. And yes, Dattatreya, we are going to speak a little bit about Dattatreya in the future. Okay, I think we have studied quite a number of Bhagavatam verses. We arrived to 1, 3, 12, and we started for 1, 2, 12. So we studied quite a number of Bhagavatam number. Let me 1, 2, 31, 1, 3, 12. Okay, so now, no, there was a mistake. Okay, never mind. Okay, now is the time for questions. I hope that there are many. You had 1 week of time to write down questions. I hope that you have many questions. Bhaktin, Rosario, and then Andy.
Hare Krishna, dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my obeisances and my respect.
Haribo.
Guru Maharaj, is there any mention in the Bhagavad, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, or in any other of these sacred scriptures about the age of the dinosaurs? That because according to science, before humans, there were insects roaming in the world, and then dinosaurs for millions of years. So is there anything that we can get from there?
We have description of the end of Kali Yuga, quite vivid descriptions, which means that we know a lot about the end of Kali Yuga. Just like we know that in 427,000, more or less, years, this Kali Yuga will end. And there is a description in Vayu Purana, not much in the Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam does not go much, but the Vayu Purana, there is at the beginning of the Vayu Purana, there is a lot of these descriptions of these big animals, etc., etc. My mood is always to doubt what I read in the books, because they say things without proving, without proof. This is not science, this is religion. The religion means you got to have faith. Oh yeah, God exists. Why it exists? Doesn't matter why. I say it, so believe. Nowadays, science is very much a religion, not all, of course, generally speaking, very much a religion, because they tell you things and you are convinced that if they tell you, it must be true. But this is not, I mean, the devotees, like me, like many of us, who have spent our entire life in preaching Krishna consciousness, of course, we came across a lot of people, scientists and philosophers and religionists, a lot of people. And when you talk to them and you know what to say, that you understand that actually they cannot prove it. So it might be that in some past Kali Yuga, some dinosaur or some animal like that existed. But in general line, I prefer not to trust or to build my knowledge on this. That's why I don't talk too much about, I don't know, Christianity or this or science, because I don't know. I cannot guarantee that this is true. And to go in, to enter into this field is like putting your foot in a minefield. Because you say something and then some others say, oh no, this was all the cheating, that they discovered something very small and they built up everything all around this very small piece of bone, and they speculated that this bone must be that, and then the whole arm must be like that. You know, a lot of these things are completely false. So am I saying that everything that the scientists say about dinosaurs is all fake, etc.? I cannot say that. And why I cannot say it? Because I never felt really the need to enter into this minefield, because it takes so much time to give your confidence to someone that is proven to be liars. You know, they lie so many. It's like listening to a politician. What is the duty of a politician? To lie to you. Okay? I will close Guantanamo in the first 100 days of my presidency. Guantanamo is still there. Okay? It's a liar. Because he's he's still a politician, he's still a liar. You know? Let's build the wall, you know, the wall will be built. The wall is not there. You know, 2/3 of the wall was built by Clinton 20 years ago. You know, they're liars. So very, very important, if we want right knowledge, if we don't care what kind of knowledge we have, and for us, knowledge is as a pastime. We like to hear what we like. It's just like watching a movie with a popcorn. Oh yes, the dinosaurs, you know, and you eat your popcorn. And you don't care if it is true or not true. That's one thing. But if someone wants to spend his life, which is not very long, you know, spend his life trying to find the truth on everything, then the first thing he has to give is your faith, your confidence. You have to trust the person you are hearing from. You have to trust the person you are reading the book that you wrote. That some shraddha, that is called shraddha. Shraddha means that you have to trust a person. Do I trust, or should we trust the scientists? No. Should we trust politicians? No. Should we trust journalists? You know, no. The journalists, you know, newspapers are worse than politicians. They just want to sell papers. They don't want to tell you the truth. And I discovered this many, many years ago, maybe 40 or 45 years ago, when the Hare Krishna was often on the newspapers, on the TV, and I realized how journalists, they don't care. They're not going to tell you the truth unless this truth sells papers, sells newspapers, or they attract people to watch your programs in the TV. That's all they want. They want to make money. They don't want to tell you the truth. That's why the way Srila Prabhupada wrote his books is just unbelievably beautiful. So what Srila Prabhupada did, verse and purport. So he's dividing what the original Veda is saying and what he says about the original Veda. This is what a journalist should do. This is the truth. This is the news, okay? And this is what I think about the news. Otherwise, you never know the truth. You never know that what he's saying is what he thinks or what is true. Just like there are journalists that condemn the person before, and after a few months, it comes out that this person has been completely acquitted. But for many months, everybody is saying, is talking about this monster while he was totally innocent. And why? Because a monster sells papers. Monster attract people to watch the ads in the TV. But you have destroyed the life of one person. And I remember absolutely ridiculous article, many, okay, many, that he spoke about our temple in Villa Vrindavan in Florence. And this journalist was like talking about witches and maybe human sacrifices in our temple, and all the strange powder that which was henna, you know, for the for the thing, and all these things, you know. And it was so ridiculous that I wrote to the newspaper. They never, of course, they never published my reply. Call him the hero, the pen, no? This person who built up a totally ridiculous story, not to tell people what is the truth. And it's just a temple, you know, and there are places where nobody goes just because it's full of animals and dirty places and not livable. That's all, you know. But if the police wants to go and look what is inside, they can go, you know. They will come out with a lot of spiders attached to them, but they can go. And we were billionaires because we bought a big property. We have been paying, we have been paying, you say, the monthly payment, I just call it.
Mortgage?
Mortgage for 40 years to buy the property. 40 years of property. We just finished paying it after 40 years. And they said, oh, where did they find the money? So this whole thing that I'm telling you, just because to put in front of the reality that the most important thing in trying to establish the truth is that we have to trust the person that we are hearing from. If you don't trust, then we are wasting time. That's why Jiva Goswami gave 3 pramanas. Pramanas in Sanskrit means evidence. Pratyaksha pramana, Anumana pramana, and Shabda pramana. Pratyaksha pramana means your senses. Okay, you gather knowledge according to your senses. Yes, this is okay. You know, it's not that we have to close our eyes and not hear anything. Of course, Pratyaksha pramana is some validity, but some validity, because senses are imperfect. And then there is Anumana pramana. Anumana pramana means the evidence we can gather from understanding, from intelligence. Doesn't matter if I went to India, most probably India exists, okay? Just because I see a lot of pictures, I go to Google Maps, and I go to YouTube and I see a lot of, so it must exist. And I have an idea how India should. This is called Anumana Pramana, or the evidence or proof that I can gather by intelligence. But intelligence also, human intelligence is also limited. Better than Pratyaksha, because we can understand more than we can perceive sensorially. But surely, if we accept the existence of God, Shabda Pramana is the best. Because Shabda Pramana means that knowledge that comes from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, if someone does not believe in God, does not believe in the Supreme Personality, that's not, you know, it's not the Pramana at all. But for us, that we do believe in the personality of Godhead. And no, we don't actually believe. We are practicing, and we are having some partial realization of the existence of God. We are sure of the existence of God, and we don't believe. Believe is secondary. First, you know God. By knowing God, you believe in what you cannot understand yet. This is how it works. Faith is secondary. First knowledge, second faith. So for us who believe, or we have some partial realization of the Supreme Person of God, the best pramana or the best evidence is Shabda Pramana. And Shabda Pramana tells us, if the Bhagavatam says that, yes, this is the truth. This is why unless the dinosaurs are not in the scriptures. And if the scientists say that how many years ago do you know how many years ago the scientists say that the dinosaurs that lived?
I don't remember, but according to scientists, they rule the earth.
No, but I need to know the number is important.
No, I
The
don't
number
remember
is
exactly.
so if anyone remember the number, how many millions of years ago? No. Anyway, if any dinosaurs existed, they existed at the end of the past Kali Yuga. That if they say that they existed around 4 million of years ago, then we can more than 4 million years ago. But then because there is the Brahma's night, if they would say that they existed as 7 million of years ago, then it could be. Less than that, we don't accept it, because we know the cycle of the yugas. And a dinosaur.
I'm sorry, Guru Maharaj. Was that a previous Kali Yuga?
If any dinosaur, if any animal corresponding to a dinosaur description must have lived at the end of the previous Kali Yuga. So we know that the Kali Yuga, it lasts about 4,600,000 years. We are at the beginning of Kali Yuga, and then so if they existed around 4 million ago, that was possible. There was a possibility.
It says they went extinct about 65 million years ago.
How do they know? How do they know? They know nothing. How do they know? This is speculation.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Okay, back to Andy.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
Hari Bol.
I had a question regarding the I guess like when you're speaking about the Paramatma and how we have difficulty being able to differentiate between what's coming from our mind and what's coming from the Paramatma. It just led me to the question of like, you know, with the process of Krishna consciousness, what is it that's impelling us to go beyond our mind? So I guess for an example, like if I'm laying in bed and the alarm is going off and my mind is saying, you know, stay in bed, you know, you're comfortable, it's cold outside, but then something else is saying, no, you have to get up to chant your rounds, like you need to chant japa. Is it my intelligence that's making me act, or is it, what is it that's forcing me, or not forcing me, but that's sort of pushing me against what my mind is telling me to do? Does that make sense?
The mind, it's a mechanism that corresponds to sensorial activities. Okay. For instance, in your case, early in the morning, you know that you have to get out to chant your rounds, and you have to, but your mind says no. Why? Because the mind says, hey, touch the air outside, it's cold. I don't like cold, so I don't want to go. The mind depends on sensorial experience. If the sensorial experience is positive and pleasing, then the mind will say yes. If the sensorial experience say no, it's not pleasing, then the mind will say no. The mind, it says only yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. That's all. I accept or reject. Accept or reject. That's what the mind does. The intelligence is something different. Intelligent is made to discriminate, not in how you say, not basing a base of your experience, but in base, you say that in English, in base or basing it
on the basis
of what is right and what is wrong. This is the difference between the mind and intelligence. Intelligence, what is right and what is wrong. Mind, what I like and what I don't like. So an intelligent person, who is an intelligent person? Intelligent person who has studied a lot, who has reasoned a lot, so that his mind grew up. And now he knows on the basis of the scripture that the guru and the sadhu, what is right and what is wrong. So such an intelligent person will say, the mind say no because the senses say no, but I will do it because this is right. This is right because Shastra said I should get up and chant my rounds, because Guru says I should get up and chant my rounds, because Sadhu say that I should get up and change your mind. This is chant my rounds. Have you understood the difference between intelligence and mind?
Yes, I believe so.
Yes, mind, I like it, I don't like it. Intelligence, this is right, this is wrong. This is the difference. The mind doesn't care if something is wrong or is right or wrong. Because mind is a sense. It's a little subtler than our sense of sight, our sense of taste, or our senses of, how you call this sense? Of
smell,
or our sense of hearing, or our sense of touch. These are the five senses, okay? So mind is like a sense, but a little subtly. It's like the guide. It's like the general of senses. He administrates the senses, and he received the experience of the senses. This I liked it, this I didn't like it. So go again because the last time it was good. Don't go because the last time you did bad. This is what the mind does. The intelligence is not directly related to senses or mind, but is much nearer to the soul, and is nearer to knowledge. So an intelligent person will not care at all about what he likes and what he doesn't like. If he cares about what he likes and what he's like, it means his intelligence is weak. Intelligence is strong where he doesn't care about like or dislike. It is clear? But he will know that there is a higher good, Shreya Preya. Shreya means what is immediately good, and Preya, what it is good, from the ultimate good. The ultimate good, okay? So the intelligence say, maybe I don't like it to go out on my very warm blanket, you know, and sleep so nicely. I was dreaming about being in the Caribbean, in Puerto Rico, maybe, you know, or also in the Dominican Republic where there is no winter, you know. And now I have to get up, you know, maybe turn on my heating, and change my rounds. I don't want it. But he knows, an intelligent person knows. Now I will do tapa like Brahma. You remember the story that I told you at the beginning of this class about tapa. Brahma came down from the stem of the lotus flower. He didn't know what to do because it was the first living being in this universe. There was no light. He couldn't see it. Everything was dark. He didn't know. So he heard these two syllables, and he understood tapa means austerity. You have to do austerity. And he became Brahma. So at the beginning, probably, maybe we shouldn't say, we should not suppose what Brahma liked or not. But we, at the beginning, we may not like to get up in the morning and chant our rounds. But we had to know that if we do it as a tapa, as an austerity, at the end, we will love it. We will be in ecstasy. We will be crying, we will be jumping, we will be dead, just like we see the description of transcendental ecstasy that we find in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. But just like Brahma became Brahma because of tapa, because of austerity, we had to do austerity. And austerity is guided not by the mind, but by buddhi, intelligence.
Thank you. And I guess the last point is, beneath just the mind and intelligence, is it our free will that's really like driving the, I guess, steering our ship? If that makes sense.
Free will is always there. Free will is not absolutely free, because we are not completely free, never. This is not our nature. But even Krishna is not absolutely free. Freedom, as we think it, is an illusion. It's actually the product of Maya that tells us that freedom is the most important thing, that I should do what I like to do. First of all, it's impossible because you may feel the need of go stealing or killing or shooting people because this is my freedom. You can't do that, because your freedom is not absolute. There is always a limit. But if you are completely free, then the problem is that you don't have relationships with others because you are free. You cannot have friends if every day you choose, maybe I don't want today to be your friend because I'm free. Okay, having a friend is how you say that in English? Impegno. It's a commitment. You have a friend, you have to call him, you have to go. So, but if you want to be completely free, maybe you say, okay, tomorrow we'll see. No, I want to be free, tomorrow will not come. And that friend will say, okay, but you are not a good friend. So the freedom that we have in mind, that is a product of Maya, does not facilitate our transcendental realization, nor it facilitates our life in the spiritual world. Even Krishna is not free. Krishna wants to be dependent on his devotees, because when his devotee is telling Krishna, I want this, he said, yes, I will do it. He doesn't say, no, I'm free. No, he does it because he loves us. Love and freedom, or the idea that we have of freedom, which is out of question, they cannot stay together. They are, how you say when two things that cannot stay together are
incompatible?
Incompatible. They are two incompatible ideas. Of course, some freedom will be there. We can choose to be with Krishna or not be with Krishna. Once we have used the right way our freedom, then don't think that you should continue to have your freedom. You want to be with Krishna, you want to love him, you want to serve him, you want to stay in the spiritual world where there is already a God. You can never be God. So if you want to be free, to feel to be a God, not to be a God because you will never make it, but if you think, I will come in the material world, I will be a God, at least of my family. I will be the Krishna of my wife with Radharani, and I have my Pradyumna here, and my son. These kind of things. That's an illusion, because Radharani and Pradyumna, they will never get old, they will never die. So your godship is a total illusion. It will never happen, really. So yes, you have some free will. You should choose Krishna.
Thank you.
Uddhava Bhagat.
Jai Shriman Narayan, Jai Shri Krishna Bhagavan, Dandavat Pranam Maharaj,
Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, world devotees.
Hare Bol.
Okay, as the topic about avatars arose previously, and as you mentioned in previous meetings or satsangas, that this philosophy is for intelligent people, because sometimes Vedas apparently states contradictory statements. So my question is about programmed incarnations. That means incarnations who are already mentioned in the scriptures, or at least mentioned for future comings, like prophecy, may I say, like prophecies. But also maybe there is some incarnations that don't need at all any previous mention on the scriptures to be bona fide. I mean, because the Lord is free and he is not under or bounded by any rules, really. So he can appear without any previous mention on the Shastra. So I want to clarify this issue or topic. Haribol, Maharaj.
Thank you very much. Very, very, very nice question. Okay. There is a reason why there is a general rule that the most important incarnation of the Lord are, are written, are previsti, are foreseen, in the scriptures, are described in the scripture. So what is the reason for that? The reason is that, especially in Kali Yuga, there are a lot of cheaters. And unless you don't have some defense, which are the scriptures, then you are going to accept any rascal as an incarnation, just because he might be a little, attractive, maybe a big white beard, or tall, or long hairs, this kind of things. There are some type of charismatic persons who people like it just because they have some karma, some attractive karma. Then we don't have any defense. So the main incarnations are there in the scriptures. However, not all incarnation can be described in the scripture, simply because the incarnations are as numerous as the ocean, or the waves of the ocean. This is what the Srimad Bhagavatam says. So these incarnations, normally the Vishnu Tattva are all described. There is no Vishnu Tattva which is not described. But other types of incarnation, like great, powerful spiritual masters, you cannot describe them all in the scripture. That would be impossible. So what kind of defense we have against cheaters? Descriptions of qualities. you can recognize if the person is bona fide by what he says, by what he thinks, by what he does, the way he presents himself, etc., etc. It's not difficult. Maybe in the beginning you can become a little confused, you know, because if somebody puts a tilak or a dhoti, you think that he's a devotee, and maybe he's just a bandit who behaves like a bandit. Bandit is in English, bandit, you know, some disgraceful personality. So you had to know the difference between a Vaishnava and a bandit. Is a bandit correct?
Yes.
Bandit, as a bandit, with a negative, ill-behaved personality. So in the beginning, somebody can be confused by a real Vaishnava and a fake Vaishnava. So the qualities are there. If we study them, and then we can go with our book and say, okay, you say that you are a Vaishnava. Let me see. Do you say this? Do you behave in this way? Do you think that? Do you do? No, and sorry. Much respect, much human respect, but I'm not going to accept you as a Vaishnava. So there is also another security key, let's say, you know, that we can recognize. So we are not talking about Vishnu Tattvas, because we already established that Vishnu Tattvas are all recorded. Other type of avatar, like Shatyavesha avatar, they are not all recorded because it would be impossible. Okay. Another security key is called the Sampradaya or the Parampara. We should not accept any a spiritual master as bona fide unless he's part of one of these four Sampradaya or Parampara. It should be the first thing that we ask a spiritual master, who is your spiritual? You are talking, okay, that's nice. You know, you are a charismatic person, you are talking. Who is your spiritual master? And who is the spiritual master? Who is? Because only knowledge coming from God is bona fide. You know, you can gather human knowledge. If you are interested in human knowledge, then you can get it from any nonsense. You know, science and mathematics and chemistry, anyone can teach you. But transcendental knowledge should come from bona fide spiritual masters. Then the parampara, if someone is not part of a parampara, 99% is fake. I don't know if it's 99 or 98 or something like that, but the percentage is very, very, very high. Because no preacher, no teacher will teach if he is not a spiritual master, because he's making a bad, how you say, un cattivo precedente. A previous, this is not what I want to say, previous bad, that's not it.
Bad example?
Yeah, precedente means a precedent.
Yes.
Yes. If I accept someone who is not part of a parampara, who is not a guru, people will say, oh, okay, he accepted that. That means that it's acceptable. That's why even Krishna accepted the guru. And his guru, why Krishna accepted that? Did Krishna need a guru? Yeah, he took initiation. Well, Krishna needed initiation? Krishna needed a guru? Of course not. Okay. But he did it. Why? Otherwise, people will say, no, I don't set in a bad precedent. Perfect. Yes. Thank you, Narayana. Because people will say, oh, Krishna didn't accept a spiritual master, a bona fide spiritual master, then I can also do the same. Because imitation is one of the worst spiritual diseases that we have. The people will try to do what you do, and maybe you do it because you are highly qualified. But other people who are not similarly qualified, they will go to disaster. Okay, so that's why the word acharya means example. The acharya should not just teach, should set an example so people will follow. Oh, he accepted the bona fide spiritual master, so I will also accept the bona fide spiritual master because he did. Okay, so this is another security key. I like to call it security key, but there are surely these two security key, which is the quality, the evident quality, and the pertaining to a bona fide parampara, or a bona fide sampradaya. These are the basis, and we should reject anyone who does not belong to a bona fide sampradaya and the four sampradayas. Brahma sampradaya, Sri sampradaya, Kumara sampradaya, Rudra sampradaya. There is no a fifth. And someone may say, why not a fifth? Who tells you? Because it is in the Padma Purana say that. And if Padma Purana say that, we need to accept it. And someone may say, well, maybe it's not so important to accept. Well, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Krishna in person. And he had all qualification and right to do a fifth sampradaya. But he didn't do it. Why he didn't do it? Why he always said no? I may differ, I may say something that Madhvacharya did not say, but I am part of Madhva Sampradaya, which is Brahma Sampradaya. Why he did that? Because otherwise there would be a proliferation of false Sampradayas. He stated, by his example, he established that there are only 4 Sampradayas, period, full stop. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, with his own example, established this very important, classic, I would say, classic truth of the 4 Sampradayas. I hope to have answered your question. Probably there is more to say, but for the time being, maybe it's enough. What do you say?
Your answer, as always, was very perfect. Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Thank you to you, Hare Krishna. Bhakti Rosalind.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances with all the glory for Srila Prabhupada. I have a question, a very practical question for those of us who are studying to be a devotee, a disciple. One of the requisites in the period of study is that the devotees who reside in the temple would assist the Mogolarte program for 1 year. And those of us who live outside of the temple, which is most of us these days, need to do that program in the morning program in their house on a daily basis. And I'm wondering if the program that we do in our house should be the very same program that begins with the Sri Guru Astaka, or if we move on, as my instructor has suggested, and just begin with Govinda or something like that a little bit earlier in the day, if we are not indeed there at 5 o'clock in the morning. And, this is an important question because just how important is our regularity when we're in the studying stage before we've taken initiation, and what exactly is it that we should do as part of our morning program at home? Thank you.
All very nice questions. I will not keep saying that. They're all very nice. Okay. The principles on this topic is very much many layered topic. The best would be to live in a temple, at least for some time, go to every Mongol Arctic and chant the rounds in the temple room, seated preferably, in the position of Padmasana, or then staying to the Bhagavatam class and then taking prasada with the devotees and then go out and Sankirtan or do some other. That's the highest layer. As time go by, this is what we did. Srila Prabhupada, or our GoPro, our senior most, our brothers, who never gave us the initiation if we would not follow this program strictly for a long time, at least for some time. And so we did it. But then the Srila Prabhupada disappeared, and then our movement became big, huge, and we kept this even 10 years, or maybe more, 15 years of our the life of our movement. This was a standard. Although during Prabhupada times, there were not many people initiated who weren't living in the temple. At the time, it was, as I told many times, maybe, you know, my remembrance there were no initiated devotees living outside the temple. In Italy, there were only two who were very strict, very coming to Mongol Arctic every day, although they lived 40 minutes from the temple. They were extremely strict devotees, etc. After Srila Prabhupada and initiation, and Prabhupada, the disciples started to give initiation, I could see that this idea became a little lost. Or maybe this was Italy and somewhere else were different. I don't know. I never really tried to understand. But I remember when I went to live in London for some time, for the first time I saw a devotee living in a temple who had long hairs, and, you know, and he was initiated. And I said, what? Your name was Rupa Goswami Das? And it was pants and not really cleaned and normal hairs. I didn't have tilak. And I wondered, you know, are you initiated? And they said, yes, I'm initiated by Ekis Maharaja, who was the guru in London at that time, but not Prabhupada disciple. And then during the year, I could see that the attraction of living in a temple became lesser and lesser until we arrived at the 2022, or in a few days, will be 2022, where people living in a temple are very few. So why is that? This is not the topic of today. Maybe you can discuss it some other time. But the reality is that the majority of our devotees do not live in a temple. They live by themselves in their house, with their family, they work. During Prabhupada times, nobody was working. Everybody was devotional service 24 hours a day. And if a few devotees, we were 20 years old. So we didn't, not many of us had wives and children, but the movement would give the necessity to marry devotees. So now this is not everybody has to go work, job, and earn their money. So this reality, we have to embrace the reality. I can tell you, no, to be initiated, you have to get up every day at 4 o'clock, at 4:30, you have to, but it is not going to work. It is simply, I mean, if you do it, it will be great. If you would do the same thing that the temple do, you know, Mongol Arctic and offering at 4:30, and then you chant your round in your temple room in front of it, they will be magnific. They will be wonderful. I would have probably to believe you if you would tell me that you do it, because it's going to be, so that's why your instructor, I understand that he told you something different, and she didn't, which is a very good instructor. She is a gentlewoman. She's my favorite disciple course instructor. And why? Because she lives at, she knows the reality. So you follow what she says. If she says that this is good, I accept it. This is good. And
yes, Maharaj, she told me to ask you.
yes, that's
she told me
okay.
to ask you.
Yes, yes. You get up in the morning as early as possible, and you do some chanting in front of the deities. You offer water. It's not difficult to offer water, any incense with a flower possibly, and you chant for 10-15 minutes. Then you chant your round. That would be enough. Then 7:30 you read half-hour Srimad Bhagavatam or some Prabhupada books, and that would be enough to be initiated.
Okay, thank you very much.
Also, to conclude your question, I think that since we were all the same, all the devotees living in the temple, we were all the same, we had the same standard, because living in a temple means to follow the rules of the temple. But homes, you cannot give rules for homes, because everybody has his reality. The homes are not the same home. There is somebody who, I don't know, they are children and they cry in the night, and you cannot get up at 4 if you went to sleep at 3, and whatever. If you work at night, I have a couple of disciples who work at night. So how can I tell them to get up at 4 o'clock if they go to sleep at 4 o'clock? All these things. So we had to change our standard according to the reality of the devotee's life. But there is one thing. There is one thing that they can never miss. That is chanting the rounds. This can never miss.
Yes, Maharaj. But what about the importance of the Sri Guru Astaka? Should not we recite that every day, putting ourselves at the lotus feet of our spiritual master?
Of course.
And so so if we can include that in our morning program, it would be desirable. Yes.
Of course, it would be desirable. It should be first class. But there are, I didn't mention it because there are other things who are similarly desirable, like chanting Tulasi Arti. We should not forget that Tulasi is, we will never go back to Vrindavan, to Goloka Vrindavan without Tulasi. So I did not forget Tulasi when I said that depends from your life. And as you progress in your, although you didn't begin your spiritual life yesterday, you have been around for 30 years, so you know these things. But of course, there are many, many things which are very, very, very important. Chanting the mantras or the song to the spiritual master, of course, is very important. Tulasi Arati also is very important. And maybe you should include Tulasi Arati, which take, it takes 5 minutes to chant a Tulasi Arati song. Like 5-6 minutes, 10 at the most minutes to chant Guru Vandana or the Gurvashtaka. There are 2 mantras for gurus, Gurvashtaka and Guru Vandana. Gurvashtaka is what we chant at Mangolartik, and Guru Vandana is what we chant during Guru Puja at about 7 o'clock. Okay. So there are a lot of discussion about the difference between these 2 mantras. And also Prabhupada, God Brothers had something to say about why every morning we chant a Guru, why in the morning we do to chant to Krishna, etc., etc. I wrote a couple articles on this, so you may be interested to my insight on this. And so my realization, don't take it as absolute truth, because somebody else, why is he saying this? It's not written anywhere. This is my realization. I can say it. Gurvastakam is for Chaitanya Nityananda. The Guru is Nityananda. When we say Gurva, because if you read what he says in the song, he's talking about the Guru is part of the Gopi Lila, etc., etc. So, for instance, if you chant Gurvashtakam and sing to me, I don't think this is proper. This is appropriate because no, I don't feel to be at the level. While if you chant Guru Arati is for every guru. You read the translation of Guru Arati, and this is the description of a guru. Gurvashtakam, you read the translation of Gurvashtakam, this is Nityananda, this is Balarama, this is Radharani. It's a totally another level of personality. Okay, so you can chant Gurvashtakam or you can chant Guru Vandana, one of the two, and so I think, and yes, Tulasi Arati, please. Okay, so
Thank you, Maharaj. I'll try to do all of those things. Thank you.
Yes, try. This is the right word, try. Krishna wants to see you trying. Sincerity is established, proved by trying. Sometimes you will make it, sometimes you will not make it. But if you are sincere, Krishna, and of course your spiritual master will appreciate your trying. I think that it's time for close. So the last 4 minutes to 2 hours. Batin Rosario is heroically still with us. And I would like to say very, very quickly, our project, literary project, the Mahabharata in Italian is almost done. So we will have the Mahabharata in Italian in 2 volumes very soon. Our project, very important project that I spoke about, will be open. We are not going to do a big publicity yet, but because we are at the beginning stage. But there will be 3 levels in our library, which is the first level will be I show you. So this is our library. As you can see, we have 6,523 articles only. And I told you many, many times that I have more than 150,000 that will be inserted there soon. Not really soon, because it would take months and maybe years to put them all in. But the first level will be the level where everybody can read everything. But if now you begin to search something like Purnima, for instance, you will see that you will not be able to enter and read in the article, because we are implementing a system by which to read the articles which will be most of them, which will be 90% of them probably, and you will need a script. You need to register to the library, and then you will be able to read the articles. And then there is a 3rd level, which does not concern you, because it's my personal private things that only I can read. To do this, we had to buy software and programs to be able to do that. And in that software, it is included, for instance, to give discounts, since we are going to ask $1 or $2 per month, which all of you can give $1. If you cannot give us $1 per month, I mean, it's impossible. But some of you already are giving me donations, like Batin Rosario, Batin Rosalind. Some of you are not giving me money, but are giving service. So they will receive a code. Inserting the code, they will have 100% discount. So that means that the entrance will be free of charge. Of course, if this person wants anyway to give another donation, I will never reject. But the whole idea that we need funds, and we need to give people the perception that it is important. What they are going to find there is something very, very, very important. So this is what we have been working on for the last weeks, 1 or 2 months already, and that's it. I think that it's time now to close because everybody is getting out anyway. And thank you very much. And those of you who speak Spanish, in 2 days we will have our video conference in Spanish. And tomorrow I have my Italian video conference. Okay.
Guru Maharaj, I think that we decided that we will not have the meeting on Saturday.
Right, correct. This Saturday we are not going to have it. But the Italian one, they will be there, and the next time in Spanish, it will be the 1st of January. But next week, we are going to have the English one. Okay. Okay, thank you very much, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Haribol.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.